The single biggest challenge minivan camping is the bed. You have to decide, do you want storage, do you want comfort, or do you want a place to hang out? You almost never get all three. But after 6 years of minivan camping, I think I have finally cracked the code. Now, I have tried at least 6 different kinds of bed frames. I've tried 2 separate cots. I've tried multiple flatbed frames, and then I finally settled on this HeleBox solo bed frame. Now, there are several things I love about this frame, but the number one feature is that each of its 6 legs are independently adjustable. And if you do have a minivan camper, you probably know that these floors are definitely not level. Please pardon my mess here, but my 2 back legs, they are approximately 14 inches deep, while these middle legs are only about 10 inches deep. And the reason those adjustable legs are so important to me is I was able to remove this 60% of my 60-40 split, and I'm able to store so much more stuff under this bed without that 3rd row seat in there. Another feature that's really good about this bed is I currently have it on its longest setting, which is just about 72 inches. But if you wanted to drop it, you could remove another 6 to 8 inches, making this either 62 or 64 inches long. I'm 5'9" or 69 inches. And so for me, the 72 inch length is basically perfect. If I was a little shorter, maybe 5'5", maybe 5'2", something like that, I would probably shorten this thing, and that would give me so much more space, especially up here in my storage area. The big con for this bed is it is a fairly expensive bed frame. The last I checked, it was about $400, and you can definitely come up with a much cheaper alternative. However, that customizability for me is absolutely worth the cost. And in full transparency, last year, Murray from Hele Outdoors did send me this bed frame for this minivan camper for my other YouTube channel. I don't make any commissions on sales or anything like that, and he doesn't have any influence or say in this video. This frame is also only 25 inches wide, and I have tried my Millard 6-inch memory foam mattress on here, which it's 6 inches thick and 30 inches wide, and it does hang off of the edges just a little, but it has enough support so that when it is on this frame, that extra 2 inches on either side really isn't a big deal unless you're putting your knee on the edge on one side or the other. I tried that mattress. I also tried a thinner 3-inch memory foam mattress, and I even tried the air mattress that comes with this frame. And that's when I came across this right here, a flip chair bed. So I did see this on one of the Minivan Camping or the Sienna Minivan Camper Conversion Facebook pages, and I had to try it out. At the time, it cost me about 130 bucks. I think it might have actually gone up to about 150 bucks now, but I'm actually very glad that I got it to try out, because this thing doubles up as a bed/chair. Now, I will admit it's not a perfect bed. It's also not a perfect chair. But for my uses, for maybe 1 or 2 nights a week of minivan camping, this thing is absolutely perfect. There are quite a few things that I love about this chair, but I primarily plan to use it as a bed and not in this chair configuration. And one of the things that I thought I could do, because it has this built-in cushion or this built-in pillow right here, and I thought, hey, I can remove this. There is a zipper. I can unzip it and access the pillow inside, but this button right here is sewn into the pillow, and so I can't really remove the pillow unless I want to pull that button out. And I haven't committed just yet to removing that button, but if I do, that'll make this thing a little flatter. Putting it in its sleeping configuration is actually pretty simple. I just lift up as far as it goes until it clicks and then release it. And if I wanted to have some variation in recline mode, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of recline, and then of course that last one puts me back down. Another feature I'm not necessarily a huge fan of is the actual foam itself inside of this mattress. I don't think it's a memory foam, but it feels like a pretty dense standard foam. So one thing I would worry about in the long term is, will the foam actually hold up to extended use? It's winter right now, and if you know anything about this kind of foam, it does get stiffer throughout the winter, so that should help me out. But regardless of the weather, I do have mild concerns that this thing won't stand the test of time. And the last thing that mildly concerns me with the overall build quality is it does have this ratcheting component inside, which is sandwiched in between these two layers of foam. You can just barely touch it right here. It feels almost like a thin, maybe 1-inch round steel bar with that hinge on it. But what concerns me is that maybe in the long run, this thing will either break or it will wear out. So eventually it may end up being that I should have just stuck with that 6-inch memory foam mattress, which could be more convenient, maybe more comfortable. And I can say for a fact that that 6-inch memory foam mattress has lasted me basically 6 years. I've swapped it in and out, but I've had that thing as my primary mattress for several years. This one's my primary mattress this year, so I'm not sure, you know, long term how this thing's gonna hold up. And now that we've got all those potential problems out of the way, the one thing that I love the most about the mattress is it does basically fit perfectly on this bed frame. It's about just as wide, so 25-inch frame, 25-inch mattress, so they are almost a perfect fit. And in this configuration, it is definitely comfortable enough to sleep on. Here I am on my side. I'm a pretty average sized guy. My hand is laying off a little bit, but a lot of times I'll just rest my hand here or just bring it in. I am a side sleeper and I have plenty of room. My knees are not really hanging off. My butt's not hanging off the back. I am essentially fully covered. The frame itself is supportive enough that I don't feel the slats from the wood inside of maybe my hips or my knees or my shoulder here. So overall, it's a really comfortable setup if you don't need an extra wide bed. I mentioned earlier that my other mattress is 30 inches wide. My other bed frame is also in fact 30 inches wide. However, it doesn't have the long legs in the back. But that extra, 5 inches is this space right here. And I still haven't figured out exactly what I want to do in this area, but I could put maybe a little armrest or like a little shelf right here and take that space. But the reality is that in my current configuration, I could lower my mattress or my frame just a little bit. I could lift this up. Right there, it's about on level with that chair. And I could definitely remove this chair and be just comfortable enough that I could hang out in here, maybe work on my laptop, read a book. I have kept this chair because I've been afraid to get rid of it for so long. This thing actually makes that a potential opportunity for me. And I am excited to see what I end up doing with this space in the next few months. So as it is right now, I would probably never use it with this true chair mode like this. But with that thing out, I could even push this back and I've got plenty of room in what I would call chase mode. And in this mode right here, I don't know guys, what do you think? Does it look comfortable enough? And do you think it will last long enough that it'll be worth the 130 bucks that I paid for it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, another feature of this mattress that I love is because of its size, it is essentially the same size as my other mattresses. And this is my narrow twin bed sheet set, the same exact bed sheet set that I would normally use on my traditional mattresses. Very easy to install, just have to line up the corners. It does have plenty of overlap, so when it is overlap, it doesn't slide off or fall off while you're shifting around while you're sleeping. Another benefit of the overlap is I can still fold this thing up in all of its positions and it stays pretty decently secured on the mattress without coming off. And so now I don't really have to mess with this thing. I just have it like that. And from this perspective, it does look like I have that pillow there, but otherwise very standard bed sheet and mattress configuration. So the reason I made this video today is someone on Facebook showed a picture of this on like an Amazon ad or something like that. And she asked, hey, has anybody tried this bed out? And so what I wanted to do is just share this really with her, but I figured if I was doing this anyway, I would share my bed setup with you guys that might be considering your first minivan camper bed build, the number one thing I would say is you definitely don't need this bed, this mattress, this frame. You can definitely start with something cheap, and as you go, if you decide comfort is something more important, or in this case, potentially flexibility, then that's something that you may want to upgrade to. My first bed frame and mattress combination together was about $200, and that was a standard narrow twin bed frame. It was honestly a monster because every time I would move it, the pieces would fall out, but that thing worked fine for almost 2 years. And really about 24 months ago, I bought my second bed frame, which was a little more, but it had a little more robust settings, and it wouldn't fall apart every time I moved it. And then finally I got this frame. So cots, bed frames, all of that stuff. What I'll try to do is I'll try to link all of the bed frames that I've tried over the years in the description. The prices do change, so I can't say like, hey, one is one price, one is the other. But the number one thing I look for in a bed frame, if it's not this one, is something that has a base at the bottom that is rigid. So individual slats, they can fall into crevices and things like that. You want to avoid that. If it has a long bar, for example, across the back, it's not going to fall off the edge of the seat if you use that folded seat. And by the way, I am camping in the forest tonight, so if you're interested in that, check out that video over here and I'll see you guys over there.